Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming today. I am Dr. Garrett Smith, known as the nutrition detective around these here YouTube parts. I was a little discombobulated today getting all this information together for you guys because I'm really excited about this topic. We're going to go over eyesight. We're going to go over Matt Stone's recent video. We're going to go over night blindness. We're going to go over dry eye. We're going to go over how zinc relates to it, and taurine and protein and all this stuff. So for those of you who haven't seen this stuff, some of this stuff I covered in an old video, my vitamin A deficiency doesn't exist video. And I'm going to cover some of the pertinent parts of that today. And we're just going to be going over all sorts of stuff related to this. So first of all, the link, Joe put the link to the Google Doc research references in the chat. Oh, is the microphone, Joe, is the microphone not the right one? How does it do this? No, it should be the right one. Let's see. Is that better? Anyway, when it picks the default one, yeah, okay, Joe, it's the same setting. I don't know what's going on. So either way, we're here. Minor technical difficulties. I don't know why every time this website picks up my mic, it says it's picking up the mic, and then Joe says it's not very good, and then I switch it to the same mic, just a different connection, and Joe says it sounds better. I don't know. Computers, right? Making our lives easier. So first, I'm going to go to this. So this is the document that Joe linked in the chat. It's also linked in the info box for the video. I did that first. So if you guys want to see the reference links, because I like to provide receipts, this is where they are. So we're going to head into this stuff now. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is, so Matt Stone's recent video. It was called, I ate no vitamin A for 1 year, and this is what happened. So first, I want to say Matt Stone is a buddy of mine. We've actually messaged a lot about after I saw the video, and I talked to him about, I think I know what's going on with your eyes, because I don't think it's a vitamin A thing. Imagine me saying that, right? So what I want to say about, first of all, is that number one, those of you who have followed me have noticed that I have never, ever suggested that people should do or could even accomplish a zero vitamin A diet. Okay, that's what I've always stated. And I think in Matt's own statements in the video, he says that he was not totally zero. So a zero vitamin A diet is not advisable. It has been recommended against in the research because the researchers said, and I'll go over that quote, they said that it will cause other nutrient deficiencies. And they actually specifically say that zero vitamin A in the body would be created by a diet that is nutritionally deficient in all sorts of other things. Okay? So I have never advised a zero vitamin A diet. Some people think that my low vitamin A diet isn't even low enough. Okay? So this is going to be something if, as Matt attests in his video, he ate some vitamin A and his night blindness got better, but his other issues didn't go away. We're going to go over what I think is going on and how this all relates. So first, Matt Stone is an adult. If you haven't seen it, let me show you. He came on my live stream. Here it is. He came on my live stream. Let me see. How long ago was this? 4 months ago. He came on and he went over what his diet was. Okay. Now I'm going to go over what his diet is. And as he states himself, it is a standard American diet that is extremely low in vitamin A. Okay, so he took the standard American diet is not healthy. We know this, right? We know this. Matt knows this. Matt is a very intelligent man, and he is making his own choices. Now, some people even said in the comments below this video that I should have been like telling Matt what to eat. Like I should have been telling him, you shouldn't eat all that junk food. And I'm not going to do that. He's an adult. He knows exactly what he's doing. He is an extremely intelligent person. So this video, I want to make sure that this video is not perceived as me coming after him and saying he's doing something bad. What he did was he's been really low on vitamin A in his diet for 6 years before this. Really low. and it helped fix his asthma and his allergies, his pet allergies, and it helped fix a lot of stuff. He decided on his own to try to do a 0 vitamin A diet and see if that made him better or worse. Well, his allergies stayed away. His asthma isn't flaring up unless he knows if he eats vitamin A, this all comes back. Then he decided for the last year to do what was the closest he could come to a 0 vitamin A diet. So it wasn't totally 0, but it was as close as he could get. So he did a year of super low. And then he ended up getting some dry eye, which is supposedly a vitamin A deficiency symptom. And he got some night blindness that was particularly aggravated by when he was out in the daytime in bright light. And then at night, his night vision would be worse. What he did about it was at some point, he decided to go, and he did this video after he did this. He went into a restaurant and he had what he considered a high vitamin A meal, eggs and hollandaise sauce and all this stuff. Okay. And he said, lo and behold, the night blindness went away. As I said, I just talked to him recently over messaging, and he said his left eye was starting to come back. So he ate what he estimated was 10 to 12,000 units of vitamin A. The night blindness went away, and then it came back. I forget how long it was between talking to him, but it wasn't that long ago since I talked to him. Let me look at the other video. Let me look at when he did this. 2 weeks ago, he came out with the video. I remember I messaged him about 6 days after the video came out. So we're about another week. So he ate 10 to 12,000 units of vitamin A about 2 weeks ago. Was it about 2 weeks? Yeah, about 2 weeks ago, right before he did this video, I think. And then 2 weeks later, he's starting to notice that he's getting problems in his left eye again. I don't think it's vitamin A. I'll talk about this. Okay. So, but Matt did feel it was vitamin A. He assumed, he stated that he thinks vitamin A is a vitamin and that we need some of it. Now, I'm not against the idea that we may need some, but the amount that we may need is so paltry and so tiny that if you don't try to eat a 0 vitamin A diet, you will never run across this problem. I would like to emphasize that I have never had these issues with people. I don't recall ever seeing any permanent issues with these things in people in my program. Now, as we're going to talk about, this is because my program emphasizes zinc a lot. You're going to see zinc connected to all of this in so many ways. Now, Matt's other issues, allergies and asthma, are also heavily connected to zinc deficiency. We're going to go over taurine. We're going to go over about, Matt's sources of taurine in his diet, which also protect the eyes from vitamin A. We're going to go over these things, and we're going to go over the sugar connection to zinc deficiency, because Matt, in his own words, in this video states, so let me switch this, Joe, this one. Matt, in this video, states that he is eating a ton of liquid sugar. Again, he can do whatever he wants. And what Matt has created with this experiment, so we've been chatting, and I said, bro, I think you have a zinc deficiency. I think it's significant. I think if you supplement zinc, so one of the things about Matt's, so you see how Matt's wearing these big sunglasses over his glasses? He says he has to wear these to avoid the night blindness. Getting night blindness from daytime light exposure is a classical symptom of zinc deficiency. And I said, I think we can get rid of this daytime problem that you have that leads to night blindness by getting you zinc. And I'm going to show you studies where they specifically prevented this, and how snow blindness, as an example, is treated with zinc. So we're going to go over all these things. So what I want to say, first of all, that I am grateful to Matt for creating this situation. He is trying to do science here. He tried to do a 0 vitamin A diet to see what it would do. Now, do I think his diet was adequate nutritionally? No, we're gonna see that. Okay, so it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't. I think it wasn't. And then he's going to try, as I suggested, he's going to try some zinc to see if we can correct this and make this problem go away. I bet it will make his allergies less easily coming back if he cheats on his diet. I believe it will help his asthma issues. I believe it will help his eyesight. And so he may have created a situation where he's extremely low in vitamin A, and yet zinc is going to bring him out of it. So we don't know this yet. We just talked about the zinc thing yesterday or the day before, I think. So let's head on into what I have. So again, I want to emphasize Matt's a friend of mine. He did this experiment. He made his judgments based on his experience, which I can totally understand his judgments. I think the issue is coming from another place. And I think, and I'll talk about all of that. So I want to say he's going to do the experiment with the zinc. Because like, why wouldn't he? He already went to 0 vitamin A. What's adding a little bit of a zinc supplement in terms of effort for him? So let's go into the next part. So first thing, if you guys want to go see the video I'm talking about, this is on my channel. The vitamin A deficiency doesn't exist video. This is one of my earlier videos. Where I was doing it in the old PowerPoint style, which took me a lot longer to make. But anyway, I go over zinc and taurine in here as some of the things that this is way back. When was this? 4 years ago. 4 years ago, I did this video and I was saying vitamin A deficiency symptoms can be zinc deficiency. They can be taurine deficiency, the exact same symptoms. And we're going to actually see that there's even more deficiencies that can cause these same symptoms. Okay. Now, again, I'm open to the idea that we may need some teeny tiny minute amount of vitamin A. And Mike Roberto on Twitter, I need to find this link. I don't have this link today, but they did a tracer study where they put in vitamin A and they actually looked at how much vitamin A went in versus how much vitamin A went out. And they found that it was like minuscule, way, 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 way less than the RDA. So if we do need it, it's super tiny, super tiny. Okay. And I'm open to that. But again, with my diet, with the Love Your Liver diet that we recommend, if we do need some tiny amount of vitamin A, well, we're not trying to do 0. So we're never going to hit that, which is why I believe, because we emphasize zinc and we get our red meat for taurine and we get plenty of protein and we don't try to do a 0 vitamin A. There's people out there who doing my program or other things where they try to do 0 vitamin A because they think it is the root cause of everything. And I go, if anybody thinks that I think vitamin A toxicity is the root cause of everything, you obviously have no idea of what my work is all about. You haven't watched any of my other videos, and you're trying to pigeonhole me because you don't like what I'm saying, and so you're misrepresenting my work. But we haven't seen this problem in our people because of the way we do the diet, and we don't just say vitamin A is the be-all, end-all, just avoid it and everything will go away. Okay? This was, if you go to the link at that video, this is also in the reference page. This is the slideshow for it. So if you want to look at the references, again, even back then I was giving you the references. So now let's move on to one other thing that I looked up right before we got on. So Matt said, I didn't go over that. Actually, let's go do this. Sorry. Let me go do this. So we're here on the reference links page. So here's all those video links. So I wanted to go over what his diet was before we head into all these connections between diet and eyesight and vision. Okay. So his super low vitamin A diet video mentions, okay, now this first part, I asked him this privately. I said, I want to know what your meat intake is so I can figure stuff out. Okay. This is what he told me. 2 to 3 pounds of beef per week, tenderloin, ribeye, strip steak, right? Some of my people out there, you guys know who you are eating 1 pound to 2 or even 4 pounds of beef a day. A day. Matt's doing 2 to 3 pounds of beef a week. Okay, huge difference. He said 2 pounds of poultry per week, mostly, chicken, mostly white meat. Now, mostly white meat is way lower in zinc. It's lower in zinc than dark meat, and it's like 10 times lower in zinc than red meat. Okay? 10 egg whites a week. Okay? So that's his main animal protein for the week. I mean, he's not eating liver or any of that nonsense. He knows better. So I had ChatGPT do a quick summary of it. So that's 60 to 85 milligrams of zinc per week from animal foods. which is 9 to 12 milligrams of zinc per day on average. Joe, while I'm doing this, could you just look up what the RDA on zinc is for men? I think it's 12 milligrams. So what this means now, of course, is he going to be getting zinc from other foods? Maybe. When you see the rest of his diet, there may not be much zinc in any of that, of the other stuff he's eating, as we'll go into. Okay. But he may even be with his meat intake below the RDA or the RDI, whatever you want to call it, on a day. And I'm saying I believe that most of his symptoms, the stuff that's still sticking around, is zinc deficiency at its core. Okay. So Joe's getting back to me with that information. But you guys can see, like, meat intake, it's not high for Matt. It's pretty low compared to what most of us are eating. Okay. US RDA for zinc for adult men is 11 milligrams per day. Okay. So he's at the minimum necessary. Okay. So now let's go through the rest of his stuff. These are the timestamps in the video if you care to look them up. Unlimited Skittles. Doesn't touch tomatoes. Well, obviously, if he was on a low vitamin A diet, he wouldn't do that. Malto meal cereal that are wheat, oat / rice based. He makes sure he's getting ones that are not fortified. He specifically said that. He eats the standard American diet just with very low vitamin A. He eats white bread, bagels, breakfast cereal, and soda here and there, which are fortified with things like Grant had issues with, as I went over in my Substacks. I mean, it's got thiamine mononitrate, it's got folic acid, it's got ferric ammonium citrate. It's got, what else does it have in it? Was thiamine B1, niacinamide, the crap stuff that you don't want to add. So he was getting lots of fortified flour. Okay, and he mentioned soda here. Okay. Super extra filtered apple juice. So it's going to be very light in color apple juice. No pulp, obviously. He doesn't do apples with the skin. He removes the skin, but he mostly just drinks the juice. Okay. He mentioned chicken breast and apple juice is most of he says chicken breast and apple juice is most of his daily allotment of 30 units of vitamin A per day. So he wasn't on a 0 vitamin A diet, which is he's admitting here. Okay. He's close. Okay, he also said chocolate chips with a bit of milk chocolate he will eat occasionally, some dairy, no specifics. He's not allergic and tolerates a little bit. That would definitely make it so it's not a 0 vitamin A diet. Okay. He eats oats and rice. He eats honey buns. He said he ate probably 3,000 Oreos last year. He's getting some vegetable oils from eating in restaurants. He mentioned the restaurants. He knows which restaurants, what he can eat at certain restaurants. And these were not like, these were chain restaurants. They were not like what you're going to say is like health food restaurants. Okay. He eats some French fries and pays a price for it. His main oils are olive oil and macadamia oil. He mentioned Oreos again, oatmeal raisin cookies. And this is the important part here. Quotes, massive amount of fructose from Sprite, apple juice, grape juice, root beer, high C, Kool-Aid, and sports drinks. Okay. Why is that important? Well, so we talked about how his zinc intake from muscle meat is barely at the RDI on average. Sometimes it's below it. Sometimes it's above it. That's from muscle meat alone. So is he going to get some from other foods? Sure. We've got lots of sugar, Skittles, soda, juices, powdered sugary drinks. And he says a massive amount. Okay. So I just did this quick little chat GPT. I don't know if I put this link in. Joe, I'll put this link in there if I haven't done it already. Here, we'll copy the link. I'll send it to you here, Joe. And I will go and put it in the, here we'll say sugar depleting zinc. Okay, so that's in the document now. So anyway, we'll just run through this quick. My question was, does a high intake of sugar deplete zinc in the body? Short answer, yes. Chronically high sugar intake is associated with lower zinc status and increased zinc loss. The various categories. High sugar increases urinary zinc loss. Sugar, it reduces intestinal. Oh, sorry, did I not do this? Here we are. Here's the chat GPT. I put the link in there. You guys can go look at it. High sugar increases urinary zinc loss. Sugar reduces intestinal zinc absorption. Fructose specifically worsens the zinc status more than glucose. Sugar increases inflammation, which leads to the metallothionein sequestration or grabbing onto by zinc. High sugar diets correlate with lower serum zinc in humans. Why this matters for the eye, skin immunity, and night vision? Because it depletes zinc. Okay? As it says here, thus, high sugar equals lower functional zinc equals night blindness, dry eye, impaired wound healing, and immune suppression, etc. Matt has allergies. He had dry eye. He had night blindness. Now, I want to say something right now. Bottom line, plain language, yes, high sugar intake does deplete zinc functionally and increases zinc loss. Okay? I'm going to say it right now. There's something, I don't understand this, and I don't have to understand this to help fix people is what I mean. There is something that vitamin A can do in people who are zinc deficient that takes away the zinc deficiency symptoms for a while. The zinc deficiency symptoms are the root cause. However, what they do is they megadose vitamin A, and that's what Matt did, and it can take away the symptoms of the zinc deficiency for a while. Now, Matt said, I want you to listen to this. He said when he did the high vitamin A meal, he said it messed him up less. It still messed him up. He said it messed him up. He said it messed him up less than if he took more vitamin A, like a smaller amount of vitamin A daily. So doing daily vitamin A, even at a much lower amount, like maybe a normal amount, messes him up. He said when he did the high dose of vitamin A, it got rid of the eye issues, but it still gave him his vitamin A issues. So how in the world, folks, how in the world, I would love for somebody to explain this to me. How could vitamin A cause him chronic disease issues, allergies, asthma, pet dander, like hypersensitivity, and yet it's causing his eyes to be a problem? How can his eyes be a problem, or it makes his eye problem go away, and yet it causes him other problems? Is it vitamin A deficiency, or is it something else? Like I'm saying, vitamin A somehow in high doses, in a diet deficient in zinc, or a diet deficient in protein, or a diet deficient in taurine, can somehow bridge the gap for a while, which is exactly what Matt said. It bridged the gap for him for like less than 2 weeks, and he's already getting the issue back. But if he eats vitamin A again, he's going to get his other health issues back again for a while. Okay? He's on a very high sugar diet. He admits this. High sugar diets deplete zinc. So he's not on a lot of zinc, and a high sugar diet depletes it. Okay? And this was his choice of his diet. So he set up a perfect situation, or a perfect storm for a zinc deficiency state. And now we get to see what happens when we start repleting the zinc, which is really great. So as I said, I'm grateful to him. I'm not saying he made any mistakes here. I mean, I don't want his eyes to be bad. And that's why as soon as I watched that video and I saw that his eyes were bad, I messaged him and I was like, dude, I think I know what the problem is. I didn't even have to do all this research to know what the problem was. Okay. So now let's go to the next page. So we're still on, this was the, here, let me do this one, share this tab. Okay. So I want to remind people what vitamin A can do to the eyes. Vitamin A toxicity causes the same problems in the eyes that vitamin A deficiency does. Okay. Side effects of retinoid therapy on the quality of vision. A number of side effects to retinoid treatment have been recorded. One group of such side effects relates to eyes and vision. Dry eye syndrome and blepharoconjunctivitis are the most common side effects, appearing in 20 to 50% of patients treated with retinoids. Wow. 20 to 50%. Does that sound like they have a deficiency of vitamin A, or does it sound like it's vitamin A toxicity? Now, then you look at America's intake of zinc, and our zinc deficiency is rampant. And what I'm going to tell you is that you need zinc and taurine to protect your eyes against vitamin A. And if you don't have enough of them, whatever vitamin A is there is going to cause a lot of damage. Okay? And that's a man, which means he needs more zinc in general than, let's say, a woman does. So let's keep moving on. So what I'm getting at is vitamin A causes eye problems. We know this. Okay, so now, what is there in the research about people trying to do super low vitamin A diets? I hope you guys can see this. There we go. Let me. Okay. States of conditioned vitamin A deficiency is what they're saying here. States of conditioned vitamin A deficiency rarely lead to outspoken manifestations of avitaminosis A. I forget when this paper came out. Well, let me see when. Let me go look over here. When did we have this? I know it's on here. 1901. 1901. They were saying this, that they could do really low vitamin A diets purposely and not see symptoms of avitaminosis, like no vitamin, that's zero vitaminosis A. They may, however, account for variations in incidence and severity of manifestations of primary, note how they put the quotes, vitamin A deficiency in groups or populations existing on marginal levels of vitamin A intake, and also for differences in responses to comparable levels of vitamin A therapy. So they can't seem to figure out why some people respond to vitamin A for disease conditions and why others don't, and how much vitamin A people need to eat to avoid these supposed symptoms. And I'm going to tell you, everywhere they find vitamin A deficiency symptoms, they're going to find basically either chronic malnutrition, protein malnutrition, zinc malnutrition, taurine malnutrition, which is basically a meat deficiency. Okay. And they may find, as is in the case with Matt, a very high sugar diet, very low nutrient diet that is actually depleting his status. Okay, so let's keep going. The vitamin A storage in well-nourished individuals is of such magnitude and the vitamins so tenaciously held by tissues that at least 2 or 3 years of severe deprivation would be required to bring about clear-cut deficiency symptoms and pathologic lesions. So they say at least 2 to 3 years. Matt did a very, very low vitamin A diet for 6 years and didn't have any issues. It was only when he made whatever changes he made to go to the close to zero that he started getting issues. Okay, well, let's keep going. For this reason, avitaminosis A occurs but rarely in adult man and usually in association with a very prolonged intake of generally inadequate and unbalanced diets deficient to a variable degree in dietary essentials other than vitamin A. Let me read that again. Avitaminosis A, as in vitamin A deficiency or symptoms, occurs, but rarely, hardly ever occurs in adult man, and usually in association with a very prolonged, like a year-long intake of generally inadequate and unbalanced diets, which Matt was doing, deficient to a variable degree in dietary essentials like zinc, other than vitamin A. In other words, avitaminosis A is usually a more or less predominant phase of a multiple deficiency state, except when induced in human volunteers by careful dietetic management. That's it. It's a dietary issue. Okay, so let's keep going. Now, this is the article. If you want to go look up the original paper, I'm not going to read from this one, so I'm not going to zoom in that much, but it's in my vitamin A deficiency doesn't exist slideshow. We're going to go look at that right now. Okay, so let me zoom in on this. Where's the full screen slideshow? There we go. Okay, so this is from that paper. Okay, Joe, I don't think I can make it any bigger. Nope. I think that's as big as it goes. So the paper is called The Pathological Anatomy of Ophthalmia, as in eye disease, produced by diets containing fat-soluble vitamin A. They contain vitamin A, but unfavorable contents of certain inorganic elements. Inorganic elements, folks, are minerals. So when they refer to salts in this part, combinations of inorganic elements, as in like salt would be one of them, but potassium chloride would be one of them. Zinc picolinate would be one, or sorry, you could have zinc chloride. You could have other combinations of inorganic elements. Okay. What are the essential inorganic elements? As in minerals, we got this whole list. Zinc, selenium, and molybdenum, our favorites. Magnesium, potassium, those are big ones for us. And then you got the rest of these, all the other minerals that a lot of them think are really necessary by the human body, and probably most of them aren't. Okay. So this is in that video, but it's also, I'm going over it here because I wanted to do this. As we are about to cover, this study is specifically stating that the same eye problems said to be caused by vitamin A deficiency are caused in rats by diets containing plenty of vitamin A, along with unfavorable contents, as in it could imply excessive and or lacking of minerals. So let me go to the next page. Here's the quote. Recently, McCollum, Simmons, and Becker have reported that diets containing an abundant supply of fat-soluble A may produce an ophthalmia in rats. Their diets contain different salt, as in mineral mixtures. Moreover, they seem to resemble each other only, those two diets, in that they had a high content of sodium and chlorine, aka table salt. The disease is very similar clinically to that which develops in animals which are fed diets deficient in vitamin A. So there are eye diseases that come about from mineral deficiencies that look exactly like what they call vitamin A deficiency. The diets contain different mineral mixtures. The only thing the diets had in common was a high content of table salt. The diets produced, quote, this is from the paper, clinically and pathologically identical eye diseases. Another quote from the paper. Xerophthalmia, dry eye, and keratomalacia, the untreated progression of xerophthalmia, this is what Matt was saying he had, are produced in rats by feeding them diets which are deficient in fat-soluble vitamin A. Okay, so they say that. The same changes may result from consumption of diets which have, they put here, I don't know how to say this in Latin, ceteris paribus, as in all other things being equal, an abundant supply of vitamin A, but which contains certain unfavorable salt mixtures. The two conditions are clinically and pathologically identical and are identical with human xerophthalmia and keratomalacia. It would seem from the foregoing experiment that in cases of xerophthalmia which occur in human beings, other factors other than vitamin A deficiency may have to be considered in regard to the etiology, the cause of, and treatment of the condition. When was this paper? 1923. Now, I want to tell you, back in 1923, and when they were discovering vitamin A, do you know that there wasn't a paper, I think the paper was called The Importance of Zinc in the Diets of Rats, or laboratory rats, or something like that. So they supposedly discovered vitamin A and the deficiency symptoms in the 1920s. In 1901, they knew that, I don't know how they wrote this paper in 1901, because they didn't discover vitamin A until, I mean, that's what I had on the thing. That's what it said, was 1901. Anyway, they didn't realize that zinc was important in the diet of lab animals until 1937. So what could have been causing the vitamin A deficiency states in the animals back in the 1920s? Zinc deficiency. Unfavorable salt mixtures. See? And let's go over this next part. This was from a paper. Well, let me see. We're on page, what? We're on the next to last page, I think. Let me find the name of this paper. The effect of vitamin A depletion in young adults. Let's go back down here. And I don't know if I can zoom in on this. Let's see. We can. Okay. So they did this vitamin A depletion study in young adults, and they didn't find any negative effects on their eyes. Okay. The second explanation offered for the negative findings of this study, as in they didn't find what they were looking for, is that these signs are neither sensitive nor specific for subclinical vitamin A deficiency. The contradictory evidence we talk about, where they say, oh, vitamin A fixes this, or it doesn't fix this, or you need a bigger dose, or the bigger dose didn't work, concerning their diagnostic value, as in telling you what it is, supports such a contention. In respect to dark adaptation, we're talking about night blindness here, okay? It has been shown that there is an inconsistency in the response of normal subjects to vitamin A low diets in the various laboratories, as well as in the response of deficient subjects to massive doses of vitamin A. Again, Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. They put people on a low vitamin A diet. Not all of them get vitamin A deficiency. What could it be? What could the missing factor be? Zinc. The specificity of night blindness as an indication of vitamin A deficiency has also been challenged by the curative effect of vitamin C and riboflavin in some cases. Remember how we just talked about a diet that created multiple deficiencies as what causes vitamin A deficiency symptoms? Well, now they've added vitamin C to this, which vitamin C protects against vitamin A toxicity. And they're saying that riboflavin can fix it in some cases. There are indications, too, that several of the other symptoms may be more sensitive than dark adaptation as indicators of subclinical vitamin A deficiency. So they might want to look at other things. This is quite conceivable since animal experimentation reveals that, pay attention to this. This is quite conceivable since animal experimentation reveals that the vitamin A content of the retina, the eye, persists, there's still some there, even in the absence of liver stores. They're saying there's literally zero vitamin A in the liver, and yet there's still vitamin A in the eye. Let's go down here. Okay, so 2 additional alleged subclinical signs which have received a reasonable share of attention are the decreased vitamin A content of the blood and changes in the structure of the skin. So let's skip ahead because we only got so much time here. Where was it? The last part of this. Changes in the skin, such as keratinization and resulting horny papules known as toad skin, have been reported by laymen in children on relief. I don't know exactly what that means. And by Stevens, Spare, and Sheard in an adult maintained on a vitamin A low diet for 180 days. Okay, so they're saying we saw this symptom of what we call from a low vitamin A diet, which, as we talked about, is likely going to be low in other things. This condition has been described, the same condition has been described as occurring in scurvy, pellagra, as in niacin deficiency, and other deficiency diseases. The more severely affecting patients being from the Orient, where the diet is totally inadequate in all the dietary constituents, a diet that sucks. So they see the same condition in the skin, but yet conventional science loves to attribute it to vitamin A deficiency because that's their narrative. Since the deficiencies are multiple, the assumption that the lack of vitamin A alone is responsible for the cutaneous changes is not justified. Even though massive doses of vitamin A have been effective in causing a cure for, in general, other concentrates, they're saying, even though they're saying they give massive doses of vitamin A that cause the cure, but also they're usually giving other things at the same time. So what did they fix? Now, I'm also going to say giving vitamin A, so they give Accutane, right? They give Accutane to a kid, and it cures his acne while it's causing all sorts of other diseases in his body. You can cure one disease while you cause another. So they can give tons of vitamin A, and let's say it makes the skin issue go away. I mean, isn't that what Accutane does? But then they cause other problems. Okay? So you got to be careful with this. Giving vitamin A in massive doses is a drug effect. That's what it is. That's why the World Health Organization will give injections, what they call immunizations, of vitamin A to children when they give them their vaccines. Okay, so let's keep going. Let's see, where were we on this one? We did the vitamin A. Oh, so now, yeah, we went into the effects of zero vitamin A diets on other nutrients. Now we get to go into the zinc deficiency related diseases and eye function specifically. So let's head into it. Zinc and the eye. Zinc, a trace element that influences cell metabolism through a variety of mechanisms, appears to play an integral role in maintaining normal ocular as in eye function. This element is present in high concentrations in ocular tissue, particularly in the retina, which is the important part that we're talking about today. Notice how they named, relating to the retina is retinol, and retinaldehyde. They shorten it to retinol. They are playing mind games with you to make you think that you need vitamin A for your eye. Okay. Zinc deficiency has been shown in a number of species to result in a variety of gross, as in very obvious, ultrastructural, as in major changes to the structure of the eye, and electrophysiologic, as in it's messing with the electrical function of the eye manifestations. The physiological functions for zinc have been studied predominantly in retina and retinal pigment epithelium, where zinc is believed to interact with taurine and vitamin A. You know what zinc does with vitamin A? It helps make retinol-binding protein, which binds to vitamin A and protects you from it. You know what taurine does to vitamin A? Taurine forms what's called an adduct. It binds to vitamin A and protects you from it. Gosh, do they interact? Yes. Do I think you need an aldehyde, as in retinaldehyde, in your eye for your eye to function? I have my doubts. So it also modifies photoreceptor plasma membranes, regulates the light and rhodopsin reaction. This is the night blindness, especially after photo bleaching or sunlight or bright light causing night blindness. Modulates synaptic transmission, that's nerve function, and serves as an antioxidant. Your eyes, okay, let me go over antioxidants in the eye, because we talk about we're not real keen on antioxidants. You need some amount of antioxidant function in your eye, because what does sunlight do? It oxidizes. Sunlight oxidizes toxins. So if your eyes are getting tons of sunlight all day, you need a balance of oxidation and antioxidation in your body. We want the body to control it. We want to give the body the nutrients that it needs to control it. We don't want to try to control it with excessive plant antioxidants from the outside. Suboptimal zinc status in North America. Wait, we're in Merca. Matt's in Merca. May influence the development and progression of several chronic eye diseases. Okay. And we looked at Matt's zinc status in his diet. Let's keep going. Zinc and its deficiency diseases from 40 years ago. The pervasive, as in everywhere, role of zinc in the metabolic function of the body results from its function as a cofactor of a multitude of enzymes. I can't remember, folks, it was either 200 enzymes or 400 enzymes. Zinc is found in every tissue of the body, and because zinc metalloenzymes are found in every known class of enzymes, zinc is in every known class of enzymes. The metal has a function in every conceivable type of biochemical pathway. Symptoms resulting from zinc deficiency are as diverse as the enzymes with which the metal is associated. If chronic, severe, and untreated, zinc deficiency can be fatal. No one talks about vitamin A deficiency being fatal. Less drastic symptoms include infections, hypogonadism, weight loss, emotional disturbance, dermatitis, alopecia, impaired taste acuity, night blindness, poor appetite, delayed wound healing, and elevated blood ammonia levels. We've been over testimonials from our people as we do emphasize zinc and we remove as much vitamin A as practical. We've had people get better from infections. We've seen guys' testosterone go through the roof. Some people have had weight loss, emotional disturbance. We have helped more anxiety and depression than just about anything. Skin issues we've helped. Hair loss, we can stop it, but getting it back, that's what I'm working on with my hair program. It's harder to get it back. Once it's easy to lose it, can be difficult to get it back, but you can at least stop the hair loss with diet for sure. Impaired taste acuity, folks. If you don't taste well, you have a zinc deficiency. When you're hearing in COVID about where people were saying they couldn't taste, there's two toxic things that cause loss of taste, and this is in the research: copper toxicity and cadmium toxicity. Do you know that both of those would deplete zinc, or that you need zinc to fight against both of those? So zinc deficiency would then be there. Zinc deficiency, copper toxicity, cadmium toxicity. Many symptoms of zinc deficiency result from poor diet consumption. Mentioned that a couple times. But often the most severe symptoms result from other factors, including excessive alcohol use. Let me just add at the start of this: excessive sugar, especially fructose consumption, liver diseases, malabsorption syndromes, renal disease, enteral or parenteral alimentation, that's tube feeding, administration of sulfhydryl containing drugs, and sickle cell disease. The most severe symptoms of zinc deficiency occur in young children affected with the autosomal recessive trait acrodermatitis enteropathica. This disease results in decreased synthesis of picolinic acid. That'd be weird. We use zinc picolinate, which causes an impaired ability to utilize zinc from common food. Because simple laboratory analyses are not often reliable in determining zinc nutriture of the patient, these symptoms caused by suspected zinc deficiency are best verified by the oral administration of zinc dipicolinate, which is what Matt is going to do. This zinc compound is efficacious and safe and would provide an accurate means of identifying symptoms that do result from zinc deficiency. Sometimes simply trying something, sometimes you just got to test it, see if the zinc helps. If the zinc helps, you know you have a zinc deficiency, which was really hilarious because when Grant Genereux took a 50 milligram zinc, probably picolinate pill, and he felt better for 2 or 3 days, and he did that for supposedly like a year, but he would only take it once every 2 weeks. So even Grant Genereux on a pound to 2 pounds of beef or bison a day was still running a zinc deficiency because when he took a zinc supplement, he felt better. Do you see what I'm saying? So get this, if Grant was on a low vitamin A diet with a pound to 2 pounds of red meat a day, what do you think was happening with Matt on 2 to 3 pounds of red meat a week, plus a very high sugar diet? Okay. It's not a good combination. So let's go influence of diet on tear function. So Matt was talking about dry eye. Okay. The effect of diet on tear function is illustrated clearly by malnutrition-induced xerophthalmia. Malnutrition doesn't just mean not eating enough food. Matt was obviously eating enough food. It was deficient. It's a standard American diet. It's ultra-processed foods, a lot of them. Dietary habits in well-nourished North American society have been implicated as a cause of some tear dysfunction. A review of the ocular literature, eye literature, suggests that sufficient dietary protein, vitamins A, B6, and C, potassium, and zinc may be necessary for normal tear function. Excesses of dietary fats, salt, cholesterol, alcohol, protein, and sucrose have been associated with or suggested as causes of tear dysfunction. You could look at Matt's diet, and then you could look at that list, and you could see where he's probably having excesses and where he's probably having deficiencies. Okay. We are most concerned with dietary protein, potassium, and zinc. And like I said, we don't see issues with night blindness or dry eye in our people. And if they are, they're very temporary and short-lived, and it's probably something like retracing, or they're pushing detox too hard. And when they fix that, it goes away. Zinc nutrition and inflammation in the aging retina. Let me see. Did I really want to read this all? Oh, I wanted to say this. So this is where 2019. I wanted to hit on one. The eye, especially the retina choroid complex, has an unusually high concentration of zinc compared to other tissues. It must be pretty important, right? Pay attention to this line. The interplay between zinc and inflammation has been explored in other parts of the body, but so far has not been extensively researched in the eye. This is 2019. Several lines of evidence suggest that ocular eye zinc concentration decreases with age, especially in the context of age-related disease. Let's remember, blood serum retinol, serum vitamin A goes up as people age. Serum copper goes up as people age. And they're saying here, your eye zinc goes down as you age. So that's a weird pattern. If we think of aging as generally having negative consequences, as people age, they have more vitamin A, more copper, and then their eye, they have less zinc. What a weird pattern. Sarcasm noted. So let's go. We did that. Where is that? Well, it just jumped. Okay, so there was improved dark adaptation in liver cirrhosis upon zinc supplementation. So we see liver conditions, not that we ever deal with those. Zinc supplementation improved the night vision. Okay. And there's that paper. I'm going to go over that paper specifically. Oops, wait, that's not what I wanted. I wanted this one. I'll try to hit on just the important parts of here. Zinc is present in photoreceptors, as in your light receptors, where the availability of zinc is dependent on light-dark adaptation. It's more like light-dark adaptation is dependent on zinc. So let's see. Outer segment zinc content can also affect the conversion of vitamin A retinol to retinaldehyde by the zinc-dependent alcohol dehydrogenase. So zinc is necessary for the detoxification of vitamin A via alcohol dehydrogenase. And this function can be clinically manipulated by zinc supplementation. Zinc may also be involved in dark adaptation by affecting the synthesis or release of retinol-binding proteins in the liver. Remember, retinol-binding proteins, and we'll even get into retinaldehyde-binding proteins. You have to have zinc to make them. They protect you against vitamin A. Okay? We've been taught all the wrong stuff about this. Let's go. These are some of the case studies. Subsequent interest concerning the effect of zinc deficiency on visual function came from the observation, they watched it happen, that abnormal visual dark adaptation, night blindness, in patients with alcoholic liver disease, which also uses alcohol dehydrogenase and aldehyde dehydrogenase, so it would use up your detox pathway and your nutrients for vitamin A as well. They go through the same pathway. Was improved by zinc supplementation. Okay, similar clinical observations regarding zinc and dark adaptation were made in a case series of sickle cell anemia patients. Wow, it fixed sickle cell anemia patients and also healthy human subjects, which suggested that these effects on visual function may be related to dietary zinc deficiency. Since then, an increasing amount of research has shown that diet influences local retinol, as in related to the retina, zinc homeostasis. So they're saying homeostasis. You guys know I don't like the word homeostasis. It's kind of usually trying to hide toxicity, but they're trying to use it in zinc here. They're just, what they really mean is the retina getting enough zinc? Not balance. Is it actually literally getting enough? And then they go, zinc supplementation results in a higher amount of intracellular retinal zinc, which Matt is about to see. And then whilst a zinc deficient diet induces retinal gene expressional changes, the genetics of your eye is literally changing. Okay, so let's keep going. Zinc in the retina. The retina contains particularly high amounts of zinc, suggesting a pivotal role in the tissue. There is also suggestive evidence that zinc deficiency in humans may result in abnormal dark adaptation and or age-related macular degeneration. So those of you who are asking about macular degeneration, you're probably zinc deficient. The purpose of this article is to provide an overview of various proposed functions for zinc, particularly in the retina. Endogenous chelatable zinc in the retina is localized mainly to the photoreceptors, the light receptors, and retinal pigment epithelial cells. Moreover, the zinc localization in the photoreceptors varies in dark and light, suggesting a role for zinc in a light-regulated process. You mean like when people go out in the sun and they get too much bright light in their eyes and then they get night blindness? That's what we're talking about. Let's see if there's anything else in this one. It would appear that when zinc is administered in low concentrations, it generally has a positive effect on an insulted retina, a damaged retina, as in ischemia, as in like a lack of oxygen. Well, we're going to go over one of the cures for snow blindness, which is from too much light in the eye, was zinc sulfate. They actually put zinc sulfate into the eye. They put way too much of it, but they put zinc into the eye and it fixed their snow blindness. Okay, we'll get to that. Interactions between zinc and vitamin A, an update. Okay. The higher weight gain of control animals as compared with the zinc deficient ones. So the ones that had enough zinc as compared to the zinc deficient ones in these experiments, even though pair fed, so they got the same amount of calories, makes it difficult to isolate it makes it difficult. Notice that what they're saying here. Makes it difficult to isolate the effects of zinc deficiency per se from those of generalized protein energy malnutrition. All these countries where they're showing vitamin A deficiency, they're always deficient in protein, they're always deficient in zinc, they're always deficient in taurine, they are deficient in meat. Same thing happens in countries where they find rickets. A curvilinear relation has been suggested to describe an effect of plasma zinc on vitamin A transport. In humans, cross-sectional studies have more often than not shown a weak linkage between vitamin A and zinc status. Randomized trials have failed to show a consistent effect of zinc supplementation on vitamin A status. In disease states in which liver function is severely compromised and both zinc and vitamin A metabolism and transport are impaired, serum zinc and vitamin A concentrations tend to be positively correlated. So if you take, here's what we see. So those of you who have taken blood tests with us or otherwise, and you start taking zinc and your zinc status gets better and your vitamin A level actually goes up, this is normal. Remember, you're on a low vitamin A diet and you're taking zinc and your vitamin A in your blood went up. Part of this is I believe, where is that vitamin A coming from? Well, where do we store vitamin A? We store it as retinol esters of a retinol bound to a fatty acid ester. Where would we store a fatty acid ester? In our body fat. How would the body get vitamin A that was stored in the body fat back to the liver? Through the blood. What does it need to do that? Retinol-binding protein. Where is retinol-binding protein made? In the liver and especially in the body fat. So if you get enough zinc and you start making more retinol-binding protein in your body fat, you now make the retinol-binding protein that is necessary to bind to the retinol so your body can transport it more safely to your liver through the bloodstream. And we are measuring vitamin A in the bloodstream. That's serum retinol. That's really the only one we have available to us that's any use. And so we see that vitamin A in the blood can stay very stable or even go up slightly when people start a low vitamin A diet and they start getting more zinc, whether it's from food or whether it's from supplements. They aren't taking vitamin A. They're taking in less vitamin A and their vitamin A goes up. Where's it coming from is the question. The most likely, my theory is it's coming from the body fat. The body fat's sending it to the liver for the liver to process. And we often see in paper, they'll have malnourished kids in these third world countries. They give them zinc and their vitamin A goes up. I've shown this. They're not giving them vitamin A. They'll have them eat more protein and their vitamin A in their blood will go up. And there's not vitamin A in the protein. Your body must really want to get rid of this. The vitamin A and zinc connection, a review. A consistent and established finding is the reduction of plasma vitamin A concentration in zinc deficient animals despite diets adequate in vitamin A. How many different ways do I have to say this? When I get people who actually I've had a couple who have come to me with literal low vitamin A, low serum vitamin A, which is similar to plasma. It's not the same, but it's close enough. Blood vitamin A. Think of it as blood vitamin A. The people who come to me with low serum retinol or low plasma retinol, basically low blood vitamin A, they are some of the sickest people I see. What are they probably low in? Protein and zinc and possibly taurine. And as we give people zinc, you guys know who have done the testing. Sometimes we give you zinc and we see your vitamin A go up in your blood. It's the same thing here. It's just saying it the opposite direction. However, it appears that the depressed plasma vitamin A is not a result of zinc deficiency per se, but rather is non-specific, resulting from food and growth restriction factors associated with zinc deficiency. Okay, so it's food factors associated with zinc deficiency, but it's not zinc deficiency per se, but it's non-specific. Like, can they dance around it anymore? Food restriction is apparently the critical factor, as in malnutrition, since both immature and mature non-growing zinc-deficient animals have exhibited the decreased plasma vitamin A concentration, even though they're getting enough vitamin A in their diet. However, this point needs clarification. Liver vitamin A concentration is usually unaltered by zinc deficiency, suggesting no defect in absorption or transport to the liver. So the liver vitamin A stays the same, even though the blood goes down. Wait, isn't that exactly saying what I was saying before about zinc deficiency? causing a lack of retinol-binding protein, which means your body fat is not sending vitamin A to the liver. And so when you don't have enough zinc, the body fat vitamin A stays where it is more. And so they see low zinc and low vitamin A together. And then when they start giving zinc or giving foods with zinc, they see the blood vitamin A and the blood zinc go up because they go up together because of the new retinol binding protein that has been made. They're saying here, suggesting no defect in absorption or transport to the liver. I don't think they're correct. In regard to retinol binding protein, it appears from the animal studies that zinc deficiency per se has an effect on both the plasma and liver RBP concentrations. We have hypothesized that zinc deficiency impairs retinol binding protein synthesis. You following this so far? It is speculated that only severe zinc deficiency results in a deficiency of a sufficient magnitude for impairment of vitamin A metabolism at the cellular level. For example, retinine reductase, an apparent zinc metallo alcohol dehydrogenase of the retina, appears to be sensitive to a severe zinc deficiency in animal studies. Severe zinc deficiency causes a slower detox in the retina. In humans, impaired dark adaptation may be a result of inadequate supplies of metabolizable zinc necessary to maintain the activity of the enzyme system. Thus, the conversion dehydrogenation of vitamin A alcohol to vitamin A aldehyde is impaired, with a resulting abnormality in dark adaptation, i.e. night blindness. Indeed, the limited number of human studies suggest that zinc supplementation may be beneficial to vitamin A metabolism only in conditions where zinc deficiency is prevalent, as indicated by less than 70 micrograms per 100 milliliters of plasma zinc. Now, let me just say something real quick here. LabCorp, who we use, their new, we're talking serum zinc here, but they now say that, so serum zinc and plasma zinc are different by about 14%. I think plasma is higher by about 13.5%. LabCorp's low level for serum zinc now, or plasma, is it plasma? I forget which one it was, but it's 44. They're saying it's 44. I've only seen one person below a 44. There's all sorts of people running zinc deficiency symptoms all the time that are way above 44. But I want you to pay attention here because this is the dance that they do to defend vitamin A. They're saying the conversion of vitamin A alcohol to vitamin A aldehyde is impaired, with a resulting abnormality in dark adaptation, i.e. night blindness. Now, so I want you to remember this. So the vitamin A, the pro-vitamin A people will say, oh, you need retinaldehyde in your eye. That's obvious. It's stopping the production of retinaldehyde. We here, where we can look at both sides of the issue, we might say, what if retinol, free retinol, building up in the eye is what causes the night blindness? Not a lack of retinaldehyde, but a buildup of free retinol. This is like where people try to say that you need retinoic acid to make testosterone because if they block ALDH, which is so it goes from retinaldehyde to retinoic acid, and this happens in the testicles too. So if you don't have enough ALDH or they block ALDH, which is how guys, they're going to try to give you a birth control pill. They're going to make the male birth control pill. It's going to shut down your ALDH so you don't make retinoic acid, because they say you need retinoic acid to make testosterone or to make sperm and to make sperm. Well, if you look up aldehydes, which I've done here on the live stream before, if you look up aldehydes and what they do to testicles, aldehydes ruin the testicles. So if you block ALDH, you build up aldehydes. Those damage the testicles. Those cause the problem. It's not a lack of retinoic acid. So whenever there's a block in the vitamin A detox, the thing before it is the problem. I'll see. Actually, you know what? Let me see if I can go find. Let me see if I can quickly find. Let's see. So here, let me get this link too. This was a quick little hold on, let me do this. Okay, here we go. So this was a quick little chat GPT search I did to see the question that I asked. It doesn't show the question I asked. I asked, is free retinol not bound to retinol-binding protein or taurine toxic when it is in excessive concentrations in the eye or retina? Now, I didn't have time to go through all the research on this, but I want to show you, you can look it up yourself. Here's the answer. Yes. Free unbound retinol, vitamin A alcohol, is directly toxic to the retina-related and retinal pigment epithelium cells when present in excessive concentrations. So you stop alcohol dehydrogenase with a lack of zinc, you build up free retinol. If you don't have enough zinc, you don't have enough retinol binding protein, you don't have enough retinaldehyde binding protein. This is all free to just cause damage. So what is the short answer? Free unbound retinol is toxic to the eye. This is exactly why the retina normally keeps retinol tightly bound to retinol binding protein. Cellular retinol binding protein, and so 1 and 2 inside cells. The LRAT, this is lecithin retinyl acyl transferase. This is your body uses phosphatidylcholine to bind vitamin A, retinol, to a fatty acid ester. It quickly esterifies. They bind them together, any unbound retinol, to put them in retinol esters to store them in the fat of the body fat or the liver to get them out of circulation. And taurine and other small molecule buffers help quench reactive retinoid intermediates. I'm going to show you that taurine literally binds to retinaldehyde. I think I showed that a week or two ago. When these systems are overwhelmed, free retinol accumulates, which is damaging to membranes, mitochondria, and photoreceptors. Night blindness, your light receptors. Okay, so let me put this link in the let me do this. Actually, wait, I need this title and URL, this tab. There we go. Okay. Now, you guys, I've talked about ChatGPT here. I think AI is going to be really problematic, but if you want to use if you're going to use ChatGPT or stuff that is related, keep it to using it as a simple search engine just to do things faster. And then you need to go and look at the references. Okay. I'm kind of pissed. I want to say something bad to ChatGPT here, because I always say, give me the references, like put the references with these things. Well, let's just look here. Why does the body bind retinol so tightly? The retina is uniquely sensitive, so it uses many layers of protection. What would it need to protect it from? Wow, we got retinol binding protein 4. This is retinoid associated, I believe, or retinoic acid. This is the retinoic acid, cellular retinol binding protein. LRAT, this is the lecithin retinyl acyl transferase. I don't know what I means here, but it's another retinol binding protein. Taurine protects your photoreceptors. These exist because free retinol is harmful. You need zinc to run alcohol dehydrogenase. You need zinc to turn retinol into retinaldehyde. Maybe retinaldehyde is less toxic to the eye than retinol. Okay, let's keep going. The rate of rhodopsin regeneration in the bleached eyes of zinc deficient rats in the dark. Bleach, they're going to do this with light. They're going to bleach their eyes with light because it's an oxidizer, right? You've seen signs out in the sun. They lose their color. They're getting bleached. They're getting oxidized. Okay. So this is a little tough to keep straight. So I'm going to try to do it as we go. Rats fed a zinc deficient phytate containing diet. So they're getting more phytic acid and zinc deficient. Okay, so now let's head into Matt's diet a little again. He said he eats oats and he's eating the malto meal and he's eating some grains. Oats contain phytic acid. Yes, we talked about that last week of trying to separate your highest zinc meals, or especially your zinc supplement, trying to separate your zinc supplements from your high fiber, high soluble fiber meals. If you want to hear more about that, go to last week. I'm not going to go over it again. But if Matt is eating oats and some other grains, and he has a low zinc diet, and he has a high sugar diet, we have an issue. Okay. So they were fed this diet for 4 weeks, showed typical signs of zinc deficiency, reduced food intake, slow weight gain, a poor food efficiency ratio, and subnormal, as in bad, zinc concentrations in the serum, blood, femur, their leg bone, and their eye. Okay. So what they're saying here, pair fed, they got the same number of calories. Weight matched rats fed a zinc sufficient diet, as in pair fed, showed normal serum zinc values, intermediate femur zinc levels, and eye zinc concentrations similar to those in zinc deficient rats. So they got the same number of calories. They got supposedly enough zinc, and their eye zinc was the same as the zinc deficient plus phytate rats. The vitamin A status of all 3 groups expressed as the concentration of vitamin A in the liver was comparable. After extensive bleaching, I believe this is eye light exposure, the initial rate of rhodopsin regeneration in ad libitum fed, so they got as much as they wanted, zinc sufficient, so they got enough zinc and they ate as much as they wanted. The zinc deficient rats, not enough zinc, got extra phytate, and they tended to eat less, and pair fed, so they got the same number of calories, was the same. Whereas the extent of rhodopsin regeneration in ad libitum rats, they got to eat as much as they wanted and they got their zinc. Kept in the dark for 120 minutes was almost twice that found in zinc deficiency and pair fed rats. So as long as they were able to eat as much as they wanted, and then they got the zinc that went along with that, their eyes recovered twice as fast. These results are not consistent with the hypothesis that zinc deficiency primarily affects dark adaptation by reducing the activity of alcohol dehydrogenase in the eye. So they're saying maybe it's that maybe it's the alcohol dehydrogenase mechanism, maybe it's not. Rather, zinc deficiency and the generalized malnutrition that results from markedly reduced food intake seem to depress the synthesis of opsin and probably other proteins as well in the rod cells of the eye. So what do we talk about? You got to get enough protein. You got to get enough calories. You got to get enough zinc. This is why we don't have these issues generally with our people who are doing the right stuff. Okay. Continuing on, let me find. So now we get to go into some of those case studies where they talked about zinc fixing night blindness. Look at the title of this one. Light induced, as in what Matt was saying he had a problem with. He went out into the bright light in the sun. He was going hiking, and then he would get night blindness after that. Light induced retinal degeneration. It's also called photo bleaching. Is literally prevented by zinc, a component in the age-related eye disease study formulation. So they're trying to push the AREDs. If you guys have heard of AREDs, it's like a multivitamin for eye stuff. It's trash. It's got all sorts of trash in it. Don't take it. But they're trying to justify the zinc. Okay. Rats were treated with various doses of zinc oxide orally. Crappiest zinc you could probably take. And then exposed to intense visible light for as long as 8 hours. Zinc treatment effectively prevented retinal light damage as determined by rhodopsin and retinal DNA recovery, histology, and electrophoretic analysis of DNA damage, and oxidized retinal, as in retina-related proteins. Oxidized from the light, right? Zinc oxide was particularly effective when given before light exposure and at doses 2 to 4 times higher than recommended by the AREDS study group. Hold on, let me get Joe's thing back on. Treated rats exhibited higher serum and retinal pigment epithelial zinc levels and an altered retinal gene expression profile. So the rats that got the zinc had different genes in their eye and they had more zinc in there. Using an Ingenuity database, 512 genes with known functional annotations were found to be responsive to zinc supplementation, with 45% of these falling into a network related to cellular growth, proliferation, cell cycle, and death. Sounds pretty important to me. Although these data suggest an integrated and extensive regulatory response, zinc-induced changes in gene expression also appear to enhance antioxidative capacity in the retina and reduce oxidative damage arising from intense light exposure. So for, again, anybody out there who's reading this and going, wait, we don't want antioxidants. You need zinc, which is considered an antioxidant mineral. You need selenium, which is considered an antioxidant mineral. You need the essential minerals. You don't need resveratrol. Okay? You don't need bioflavonoids. You don't need these polyphenols. They're not essential. None of them are essential. They might have an antioxidant function to them, but that doesn't mean you actually need them to function. Okay? I think that was it on this paper. Yeah. Let me make this bigger. Okay. The effect of changes in dietary zinc intake on taste acuity, your taste sensation, and dark adaptation in normal human subjects. 8 healthy male volunteers with normal zinc status were studied in a metabolic ward. They were literally locked in to a building. During the first 8 weeks of their stay, subjects were fed a hospital diet containing animal protein and providing zinc intake of 12 milligrams a day, the baseline period. This is like similar to what Matt was eating, probably less sugar, and they got some animal protein. We don't know the rest of the diet. During the next 24 weeks after the first 8 weeks, the subjects were fed a semi-purified vegetable protein-based diet, probably soy, which provided 3.2 to 5.6 milligrams a day per zinc. This was the zinc depletion period. Following the zinc depletion period, the subjects received 30 milligrams of zinc a day, while the experimental diet was continued for 3 months. So then they got 3 months after them. They did the hospital diet with 12 milligrams a day of zinc with animal protein. Then they did 24 weeks of the zinc depletion with vegetable protein. Ugh. Then after that, they got 30 milligrams of a supplemental zinc while they kept on the zinc deficiency diet. Okay. Zinc concentration in plasma, neutrophils, lymphocytes, and platelets, taste detection and recognition thresholds for salt, sucrose, sugar, HCl was their sour, and urea was their bitter, and relative threshold for dark adaptation, night blindness, were determined before and at the end of zinc depletion and zinc repletion. Zinc levels decreased significantly in the plasma of 7 to 8 subjects, neutrophils and lymphocytes, 6 of 6 subjects, and platelets, 3 of 6 subjects after 6 months of dietary zinc restriction. So it didn't decrease it significantly in everybody and everything. This could be why some people can go longer without a problem. Like Matt went 7 years. Taste detection and recognition thresholds increased significantly for salt, sweet, sour, and bitter in all subjects. I think so when they say their threshold, but they were talking about when can you taste it. So, right, if your taste was more sensitive, your threshold would be lower. As your taste becomes less sensitive, your threshold goes higher. That's not a thing you want. You don't want to have to put like a teaspoon of salt in your mouth to taste it. You want to taste a little bit, right? That's healthy. While the log relative threshold for dark adaptation became abnormal in 5 of 8 subjects. So they went on this zinc depletion diet, and 5 of 8 of them got problems with their night vision. Zinc repletion with a supplement for 3 months normalized plasma zinc levels in 6 of 6 subjects, and cellular zinc in those white blood cells and platelets in 4 of 4 subjects. So zinc supplementation while on a crappy vegetable protein zinc depleted diet fixed their zinc. Taste detection and recognition thresholds returned to baseline in 5 of 5 subjects tested, so it fixed all of them too. While abnormality of dark adaptation was reversed in 3 of 5 subjects following zinc repletion. So some of them got so depleted in zinc that 30 milligrams of zinc a day plus their 3.2 to 5.6 was not enough to fix it. Okay. Zinc repletion can take a very long time, as many of you people who are on the program know. Okay. These results indicate that even a mild dietary zinc restriction may cause subclinical but measurable changes in taste acuity and dark adaptation in normal subjects. This sounds like exactly like Matt's situation to me. So like 3 of the 5 subjects needed more zinc in that amount of time, in that what was it? 3 more months. And this is with 35 milligrams of zinc a day. And Matt's getting like 9 to 12 from his muscle meat. He's getting some from other foods, but probably not a lot from, the sugary drinks. You know what I mean? And the Skittles. Okay. Zinc deficiency, a cause of abnormal dark adaptation night blindness in cirrhotics, so liver disease. This is the study that I talked about earlier. 6 stable alcoholic cirrhotics with serum zinc less than 70 micrograms per 100 mils. That's the normal, like if you were looking at a LabCorp thing and you had a serum zinc, so this would be, I think they call it micrograms per deciliter on there. That's the units. They had abnormal dark adaptation responses. They had some night vision issues, night blindness. Serum vitamin A ranged from 15 to 37 micrograms per 100 mils. This basically means, so deficiency supposedly starts at 17. That's on the LabCorp. That's typical LabCorp range now. So 17 or 17 to 20. They'll say 17 to 20. So they had enough vitamin A, really, right? Zinc sulfate, probably one of the crappiest forms of zinc you could use. And when they say 220 milligrams a day, they're not giving them 220 milligrams a day of elemental zinc. There's 50 milligrams a day of elemental zinc in 220 milligrams a day of zinc sulfate. So that means 50 milligrams is zinc, 170 milligrams is sulfate. Okay. It was fed to 3 patients of the 6 for 1 to 2 weeks, and dark adapted final thresholds fell 0.9, 0.4, and 1.2 log lux without concurrent rises in serum vitamin A. So their thresholds, that falling means their dark adaptation got better. So they gave them 50 milligrams of a crappy zinc for 1 to 2 weeks, and their night vision improved. And their blood vitamin A didn't go up. 2 patients were treated initially with oral vitamin A, 10,000 units a day for 2 to 4 weeks. Remember, Matt said he estimated 10 to 12,000 units of vitamin A in that one breakfast he did for 2 to 4 weeks. But their final thresholds only fell to normal after the addition of zinc for 1 to 2 weeks. So the vitamin A supplement didn't fix them of these other 2. It only got normal once they took zinc. You understanding what I'm saying? Zinc is necessary for what people think is vitamin A function. The 6th patient treated with vitamin A and zinc together from the start attained a normal final threshold in 2 weeks. So it looks like you need zinc for 1 to 2 weeks without vitamin A to fix your night vision. It doesn't. Yeah, 50 milligrams a day. That's a solid dose. Okay, so that's cirrhotics. That's alcoholics. And I think in this paper, I think they were saying these guys were eating, like they were getting half of their calories a day from alcohol, somewhere 48% to 51%. Half their calories in a day were alcohol. So they had a terrible diet. Okay, here's that sickle cell anemia study that they talked about. Abnormal dark adaptation as in night blindness and sickle cell anemia. Patients with sickle cell anemia may be zinc deficient. Zinc deficiency has been reported to cause delayed or dark adaptation. We studied dark adaptation in 13 patients with homozygous sickle cell anemia. That means they're the worst expression of sickle cell anemia. 6 patients had delayed dark adaptation, so half of them. Their mean average plasma and neutrophil zinc levels were 93.83 plus or minus 8.26 micrograms per 100 microliters and 37.3 plus or minus 11.88 micrograms per cells, per 100 cells, respectively, or whatever they're trying to say there. Anyway, so this was the delayed dark adaptation. So just remember 93 and 37, and then the corresponding values for 7 patients with normal night vision. It was 105 versus 93, and 86 versus 37. It's a big difference, right? For the 6 patients with delayed dark adaptation, the lower neutrophil zinc level value, but not the plasma value, was significant. So they're saying, this is why I love, they're saying 105 versus 93 is not significant. Okay. They're saying 86 or 87 versus 37 is significant. 3 of the 6 were treated with oral zinc with improvement in their dark adaptation. Neutrophil zinc levels correlated inversely with log relative threshold at 30 minutes. I think that's basically saying the higher their neutrophil zinc levels went, the lower their dark threshold was, and that's better. We conclude that patients with sickle cell anemia may show decreased ability to dark adapt that is related to zinc deficiency. So there's sickle cell. So we got alcoholic cirrhotics, we got normal people, we got alcoholic cirrhotics, we got sickle cell people. Let's keep going. Crohn's disease. Zinc deficiency induced retinal dysfunction in Crohn's disease. A patient with Crohn's disease and low serum zinc concentrations is presented who had markedly abnormal dark adaptation. Oral zinc supplementation produced an improvement in dark adaptation, and discontinuation of zinc therapy was associated with a worsening of dark adaptation. Serum vitamin A levels were normal throughout this period. We suggest that impaired retinal function is another manifestation of zinc deficiency in Crohn's disease that may be improved with zinc supplementation. Okay, so now we can add Crohn's to the list. Oh, let's go zinc therapy for night blindness and cystic fibrosis. I want you to pay attention. This is the gaslighting. This is classic gaslighting about vitamin A. This should make you laugh. This is the first report of a supplemented cystic fibrosis patient presenting with clinical vitamin A deficiency to be successfully treated with zinc therapy alone. So they have vitamin A deficiency, but their problems went away with only zinc. Weird. So that must mean zinc is essential and maybe vitamin A isn't? I mean, that's what I'm taking from it. So they were giving this person medical therapy at the time when they had this problem. Daily oral supplementation included pancreatic enzymes, vitamin A 4,000 units, vitamin D 400 units, multivitamins with another vitamin A 5,000 units, so up to 9,000 units of vitamin A, vitamin D3 600, so up to 1,000 units of vitamin D, vitamins B1, 2, and 3, and vitamin C. They also got vitamin E of 400 units, vitamin K 10 milligrams, ferrous sulfate, so she's taking iron, and calcium carbonate / vitamin D3 400 IUs. So she's getting like 1,400 units of vitamin D a day, 9,000 of vitamin A. Wait, her serum vitamin A was low. That's weird. 9,000 units of supplemental vitamin A a day, and she's still low, but had been less than 0.7 milligrams per liter for the previous 5 years, despite compliance with vitamin supplementation. A serological serum zinc deficiency was also present with levels measured at 8.1 micromoles per liter, when the normal range is 11.4 to 24.8. So this is a very, very low zinc. Okay. She had high liver enzymes. ALT was 47. Alkaline phosphatase was 108. Treatment was commenced with oral zinc sulfate, 220 milligrams TDS alone, Zincomed. So that, as they say here, 50 milligrams of elemental zinc per 220 milligram tablet. Within 1 week, there was a dramatic improvement in the symptoms of night blindness, nyctalopia, and signs of xerophthalmia, dry eye. Wait, what symptoms did Matt have? Dry eye, night blindness. With recovery of serum zinc levels up to 12.1. Serum vitamin A levels remain low, however, at 0.2 milligrams per liter. Repeat dark-adapted ERG demonstrated a clear rod response, indicating full restoration of rod photoreceptor function. Her zinc went up to a 12.1. What did they say the normal range was? 11.4 to 24.8. So 50 milligrams of crappy zinc for a week fixed the outright deficiency level and fixed all of the night blindness and the dry eye. Okay, let's keep going. The case of a teen with nyctalopia, night blindness. This is not the same cystic fibrosis person. Jenny Davis, a 15-year-old with a history of cystic fibrosis, had been experiencing progressive decreased vision and difficulty with her night vision in both eyes for almost 3 years. So how long has this zinc deficiency been going on and getting worse? At least 3 years. We obtained serum vitamin A levels, which measured less than 5 micrograms per deciliter. The reference range for individuals who are 13 to 17 years old is 14.4 to 97.7 micrograms per deciliter. Look at it. Look at how obscene that range is. Confirming the diagnosis of vitamin A deficiency. So she has vitamin A deficiency, supposedly. Our patient's course. Jenny was referred to the nutritional services department. She was initially treated with a beta-carotene based supplement. However, this treatment did not improve her symptoms or vitamin A levels. So then they say, which suggested that she could not convert beta-carotene to retinol in her gut because of prior bowel resection. So she's already missing parts of her gut. So she's missing parts of her gut, and that's why she can't convert it. Okay. Therefore, her therapy was changed to retinol palmitate, a preformed type of vitamin A, yet at the same time, for proper gaslighting, because zinc is a necessary cofactor of retinol-binding protein, she was started on zinc supplementation as well. So if they start her on zinc and retinol palmitate at the same time, how are they going to know which one did it? What will they give credit to, do you think? Do you think they'll give the credit to the zinc, or do you think they'll give the credit to the vitamin A? With the above regimen, Jenny's serum vitamin A recovered to a normal level of 17 micrograms per deciliter, which is like right on the border of deficient. Her nyctalopia resolved, as did her yellow-white deposits. Gosh, what's yellow? What's yellow and toxic that is in the eye? Oh, vitamin A. We performed, and also fat-soluble vitamin A. She's taking retinol palmitate, which is fat-soluble vitamin A. We performed OCT and found that her macula had normalized, but the patient did not return for repeat ERG. Look at their conclusion. All they talk about is vitamin A. There's like, yeah, we gave her zinc. We gave her zinc too, but you know, it's definitely not the zinc. It's definitely not the zinc. We must protect our grant money. We must say that vitamin A did it. Zinc is a necessary cofactor of RBP. RBP protects the eyes from retinol in the eye, which would build up because of a lack of zinc, because of a lack of alcohol dehydrogenase activity. But anyway, it's definitely the retinol palmitate that did it. This is the gaslighting. So now this is one where people are going to go, oh, but it's vitamin A. Zinc supplementation might potentiate, as in improve or strengthen, the effect of vitamin A in restoring night vision in pregnant Nepalese women. Zinc deficiency may result in abnormal dark adaptation or night blindness, a symptom primarily of vitamin A deficiency. The gaslighting just is so good. During a placebo-controlled trial in Nepal, weekly vitamin A supplementation of women reduced but failed to eliminate the incidence of night blindness during pregnancy, suggesting a role for zinc. Now remember, Matt had a big old vitamin A meal and it got rid of his symptoms for like 2 weeks. And then they're starting again in his left eye. But if he takes vitamin A, all of his old bad symptoms come back. So what I'm going to say is it's a zinc deficiency at the root. When we get in here, we'll just read the conclusion. These data suggest that zinc potentiated the effect of vitamin A in restoring night vision among night blind pregnant women with low initial serum zinc concentrations. So the ones that had low zinc and they got zinc, their night blindness went away, even though they were still giving them vitamin A. Do you think Nepalese women in Nepal who are pregnant, are getting enough protein and calories and zinc and meat? Probably not. So what's the problem? Is it their diet? Yeah, it's definitely their diet. Okay. Moving on. Wait, I think that's as big as I can go. There we go. So, of course, alterations in zinc, vitamin A, and retinol-binding protein in chronic alcoholics, a possible mechanism for night blindness and hypogonadism. Hypogonadism, low testosterone, and poor sexual function in men. We fix this with a low vitamin A diet and plenty of zinc. Night blindness. We don't see it because we have guys get plenty of protein and plenty of zinc. We're definitely against retinol, and we're also against alcohol. Okay. So anyway, let's go to the let's go to the conclusion, I think. I can't highlight this. That's why it's a little bit of a I have to kind of remember what was going on. I think it's in the conclusion that we want. Are alcoholics, both with and without liver disease, consumed approximately 1/2 of their calories as alcohol, and their diet was frequently deficient in protein? The majority of alcoholics had a diet deficient in both zinc and vitamin A and protein. Serum zinc, vitamin A, and retinol-binding protein levels were significantly depressed in alcoholic cirrhotics. We have previously demonstrated that hypogonadism, low testosterone, and low sexual function is a frequent complaint among chronic alcoholics, that defects are present at both the gonadal and hypothalamic pituitary level, and that severe liver disease is not required for the presence of hypogonadism because it's a zinc deficiency problem. I don't remember if there was anything else in here that I really wanted. Sorry that I'm doing this while apps. You guys can go look at this one. Snow blindness. Snow blindness and other eye problems during the heroic age of Antarctic exploration or exploration of the ice wall, whichever one you like. I don't care. I have no time to even bother with any of that stuff. Although one of the things I want to do, I'll just say this is a funny thing. Kelsey and I, since we're both, kind of conspiracy theorists and we like having fun with this idea, one of the things we want to do is we want to take a cruise to Antarctica, where you can go by. You don't go on Antarctica, but you can go see it. And we were like, we want to go see the ice wall. So we're just joking. We want to go see it. But I think we might be able to observe some things down there. If there's funny things going on, if somebody could see it, I bet between Kelsey and I, we could see it. Anyway, treatment of snow blindness. On board ship, snow blindness could be treated. Oh, and if you don't remember, I went over in one of my videos about scurvy in sailors being caused by their high vitamin A and high alcohol diets. High alcohol diets. They were also eating mostly fish, which is not a super high zinc food. They were not eating a lot of red meat. And their main drink was a low concentration, I forget, was it beer? I think it was a really dilute beer. So they were probably zinc deficient. On board a ship, snow blindness could be treated, quote, by protecting the eye from strong light. We already went over that. And frequent bathing with warm water, boracic lotion, this is related to boron, or better still, I want you to pay attention to this, better still, very dilute zinc sulfate. You're going to hear zinc sulfate multiple times here. And it seems that zinc sulfate totally works, but they downplay it. They don't give it the credit that it deserves. Have we seen that in other papers already today? Yes. In the field, eye drops would freeze, and the medication was provided as small tablets designed to put directly into the conjunctival sac. They were making little tiny tablets of stuff like zinc sulfate, and I don't exactly know where they were putting it, the conjunctival sac. I don't know exactly where they're shoving this teeny little pill, but they're putting a literal tablet somewhere in their eye. Okay. Mawson, leader of the Australian Antarctic expedition, described it thusly, quote, the stock cure, the known basic given cure for this affection is to place, first of all, tiny tabloids of zinc sulfate and cocaine hydrochloride under the eyelids, where they quickly dissolve in the tears, alleviating the smarting, gritty, is that dry eye sensation? Gritty sensation, which is usually described by the sufferer. So we have dry eye and snow blindness. He then bandages the eyes and escapes, if he is lucky, into the darkness of his sleeping bag. There was another way of providing topical drugs. Taylor describes how, quote, Ford got a bad touch of snow blindness. Debenham got out the medical chest. He ground up some zinc sulfate, picked it up on a paintbrush, and dropped it in the corner of Ford's eye. This appears to have been a recognized treatment, as the Burroughs Wellcome No. 91 tabloid brand ophthalmic case, the sort taken by many expeditions, see the figure, contained tubes of ophthalmic products, a pestle and mortar, and 2 camel hair brushes. An alternative way of handling the tablets was the use of a, quote, vulcanite rod, which is rendered electric by friction and used for picking up the little ophthalmic discs. So it's so small that they're picking it up with like static electricity. Let's go to the next one. But I mean, I want you to see that they said it was a cure. Now, I don't know if I highlighted the cocaine part, but remember, cocaine is actually an anesthetic. It is a stimulant, obviously, but it's also an anesthetic. It's lidocaine, novocaine, cocaine. Scott did not think highly of this treatment, noting that zinc sulfate is one of those remedies which might be thought to be worse than the disease, for it gives the victim what he calls gyp and generally keeps him awake for the next hour or two with throbbing eyeballs. Okay, so they're putting literal like zinc sulfate powder in the eyes. Okay, that's probably going to hurt. I mean, they're putting sulfur in the eyes, but it fixes it. The known cure. And, oh, wait, what's this? Does the eye need cocaine? Does the eyeball need cocaine, or might cocaine be a symptom fixer? Quote, cocaine has only a very temporary effect, and in the end seems to make matters worse. So the zinc sulfate felt like crap. It hurt, but it fixed it. Notice they don't say anything about it not fixing it. It fixed it. Cocaine made matters worse. Atkinson agreed that zinc sulfate and cocaine were, quote, extremely painful, and several applications were needed before they afforded any relief. Well, it's the zinc deficiency. With increasing use, the dose of cocaine needed to be increased. Well, that's a drug. That's not a mineral. Laseren's comments as to how the treatment distorted vision have been described above. I believe he's talking about cocaine there. Anyway, nobody's saying to put zinc drops in your eye. Get enough zinc by mouth. Okay? Just another example of how literally putting zinc in the eye fixed a light-related eye blindness problem. Okay? Just wanted to hit on this paper again. Vitamin A aldehyde taurine adduct. That means they bind together and the visual cycle. Adduct, added together, stuck together. Vitamin A aldehyde, retinaldehyde, taurine binds to it. Do you guys remember the testimonial last week where I told a woman to take taurine and she did, and it fixed her eye? And I've told the story of my mom taking taurine and it fixed her eye issue too. I talked last week about how to maximize the taurine in your meat. The less you cook your meat and the lower temperature you cook your meat at, the more taurine you will get out of it. So anyway, taurine protects your eye, as you saw in that chat GPT I went over, along with retinol-binding protein. Now let's go over so let's say if we're talking about these countries, these third world countries where they're malnourished and they don't eat meat and they don't get enough protein, which we talked about a bunch of times. They don't get enough zinc. And now we're going to talk about taurine. What can a deficiency of taurine cause in the eyes? So this is the Google book where I got the next quote from. So this is just the link. I'm not going to go on this because this is hard to read. I think I had to type it directly from this. Like I had to type it out by hand into this. So let's do, here we are. View, let's do slideshow. The biology of taurine, methods and mechanisms. What is a photoreceptor? A photoreceptor is a nerve-ending cell or group of cells specialized to sense or receive light. We've talked about those a bunch. Quote from the paper, there is now little doubt that taurine is involved in the mechanisms preserving the structural and functional integrity of photoreceptor cells in the vertebrate retina. You need taurine to protect your light receptor cells. The supportive evidence comes from comes from in vivo experiments in animals or humans, in taurine deficient animals, in which the structural and functional disturbances occur in the retina following a decrease in taurine retinol levels, the amount of taurine in the retina. And 2, in vitro experiences and preparations of isolated photoreceptor outer segments where taurine affords protection against different experimental conditions causing a disruption of the highly organized structure of the OS, the outer segments. Basically what they're saying here, summarized, taurine is necessary for night vision. I don't remember if there's stuff on the next page. Oh, yeah. The antioxidant and osmoprotecting activity of taurine in dry eye models. I'll show you that here. This is the actual paper. Yeah, I'll just read some of this I quoted on the other paper. What are they going to do here? Antioxidant and osmoprotecting, as in water, flow of stuff, osmosis, protecting activity of taurine in dry eye models. Wow, taurine's related to dry eyes and photoreceptors. The purpose of this, to assess the protective effects of ophthalmic formulations, as in like eye drops, based on taurine and sodium hyaluronic, most of you might have heard of this as hyaluronic acid, in the ocular surface, so applied to the surface of the eye. All of the altered parameters, all of the problems they created were significantly reversed by 0.5% of taurine and 0.4% of hyaluronic acid, sodium hyaluronic treatment. Furthermore, this formulation with the taurine was more effective than the sodium hyaluronate alone. Moreover, tear levels of MMP9 were significantly lower in the group treated with 0.5% taurine plus the sodium hyaluronate. So it made, I'm assuming that this is some sort of inflammatory compound or some bad compound, and it was lower in the group with taurine. The conclusions, although these data suggest that taurine has a relative antioxidant effect in corneal epithelial cells, and prevents the eye surface damage elicited by atropine. So they cause the damage in the eye by putting atropine drops in it. Taurine plus the sodium hyaluronate worked better, a lot better than the sodium hyaluronate by itself. Wait, oh, this thing. Let's go here. We got a ResearchGate is so annoying. Oh, just go back. There it is. Thanks, ResearchGate. Now, what is one of the other things that they say? They say that vitamin A deficiency causes. Don't they say vitamin A is necessary for the eyes and the skin? So, eyes and the skin. So if taurine helps protect against dry eye and taurine helps protect the photoreceptors, what about taurine in the skin? Taurine binds to retinol-binding in the eye. Remember, taurine protects the eye against vitamin A. So does it protect the skin too? Taurine, or 2-aminoethane sulfonic acid, occurs naturally in food, especially in seafood and meat. It's only in muscle meat, folks. I mean, it might be some in organ meats, but we're not going to eat those. Don't believe the people on the internet who say taurine is in dairy and eggs. It's not there in any valuable amount, if it's even there at all. Okay? Taurine is used in topical anti-acne therapy. It was used to explore anti-tumor promoting activity in a skin carcinogenesis study. It is used in skin ulcers. Due to its antioxidant and anti-apoptotic properties, it exerts an anti-wrinkle effect on the skin. Taurine at 0.05 to 0.15 grams a day is effective at treating the underlying causes of psoriasis. It is also used in atopic eczema. This is all really weird because we help fix psoriasis and eczema with a low vitamin A diet with plenty of muscle meat and plenty of zinc. Are you seeing the connections here? So the eye problems, lack of protein, lack of zinc, lack of taurine, and then the other things in the diet that can cause problems, like a really high sugar diet, will cause problems. Sorry, Peters. Sorry, Peters again. Matt's on a very, very high liquid sugar diet, and it's not fixing everything. So, that's basically, let me get back to my first thing. That is everything in that document. I have covered everything in that document. Oh, I didn't open up the, hold on. Hold on, I got to open up the chat so I can see it. I forgot to open up the YouTube chat, so I'm going to have to turn off my mic for 1 second, or else I'll get the echo. So hold on 1 second. Muting my. Got it. Okay. Sorry, that took me a second. It wasn't letting me scroll up to the top. Let's see. So we have a couple super chats. I don't send more super chats. I'm going to hit on these questions as quick as I can. I'm late for my inner circle, so I got to get going, and I got to pick up my boy today, which I messed up last week. So anyway, so heterodox, I need for you to put what LNT is an abbreviation for, so I know what you're talking about on your second super chat. So we got 2 super chats from heterodox, and then I think we're gonna wrap it up. So if you had other questions today, you may want to save them for next week. But again, reminder, after all of that, my goal when I contacted Matt Stone was to help his health. It was to help his health. I saw that he was having eye issues. When I first saw the video, I was like, oh no, he's trying to like undermine me. And I know Matt's not trying to do that. Matt is after the truth. And I saw that those big old, he's wearing those big old, like what I would call blue blockers. Those of you who are as old as I am, remember the blue blocker commercials. And I was like, and then he said he has to keep wearing those. And I was like, okay, that's an issue. And then I looked up photo bleaching, and I didn't know that the night blindness caused by excessive light during the day, figured out what that was, connected it to zinc, and here we are. And now hopefully Matt goes through with it. I think he will. The plan is for him to take some zinc. And then my plan is to have him on my live stream again about the results. So after we do this whole big thing, I didn't want to do this and have him on so he didn't have to wait 2 hours for me to talk my way through all of the evidence. So that's why we're doing it as 2 separate things. I am not attacking Matt. Matt is a buddy of mine. We wrote a book together, if you didn't know. So I'm all for helping him and figuring all this out together. And again, I never advocated a 0 vitamin A diet from the day I started this. I said it wasn't possible. And if you did, it would be dangerous because you'd be missing other things, which is exactly what the research says. So let's do this. Okay, so heterodox said aspartame like MSG is just aminos except for a little formaldehyde. The formaldehyde per sweetness seems to be less than that of fruit based on AI's response. Any thoughts? I have an intense personal vendetta against aspartame. Aspartame was one of the I may not be here today had it not been for my experience as a youth. I think when I was about 18 and I was starting to take supplements, and I remember Pure Encapsulations came out, and it was kind of like a European company back then. And I was able to get their supplements here. Like it wasn't like the practitioner brand, and there wasn't the internet back then. And so I got them mail order, and I was taking them and all this stuff. And I was also I thought I was being healthy, and I was using Equal, which is aspartame. I was using Equal. I would make a soda out of it. I would get club soda or soda water, and I would put in some lemon juice, like bottled lemon juice, and I would put in a packet of Equal. And I even had a special cup with like this was like when I was a kid. I had one of those straws that went around it, and I'd make it in there because I knew exactly what the proportions were. And then I would also, a lot of times for breakfast in the morning, because I was trying to be healthy, right? Back in the 80s. And I was having the big old shredded wheat biscuits, and I'd put Equal on top. I put 1 pack of Equal. I would split it among 2 of them. And then I would put in skim milk because I'm being healthy, right? Back in the 80s, that was what we all thought was really healthy. So those 2 things were the main sources of my aspartame. And I couldn't figure out why when I would, especially when I would lift, but other times when I'd like kind of create a lot of like the Valsalva maneuver, a lot of internal pressure, I would get a headache. And the funny thing was that could tend to cause a headache, a short, like almost migraine-like headache. Like I couldn't do anything while it was happening. It only lasted like 20, 30 seconds, maybe a minute at most. And I would also have to I would do the Valsalva maneuver. I would contract really hard to try to, it was almost like I was trying to push the blood out of my head. I don't know. It helped. It helped me to deal with the discomfort for that minute. I couldn't do anything else though. So then I went on a trip to Canada with my family, and we were at a kind of a little ski resort town at the bottom of the mountain. And there was a supplement store there. There was a magazine there, like one of those free supplement store magazines, health magazines. I pick it up, and inside it says aspartame, and it's got a stop sign, and it says toxic sweetener in the stop sign. And I read about it and said aspartame can cause headaches, and there's formaldehyde in it and methanol. And I was like, I eat that stuff, and I'm getting these weird headaches that don't make any sense. So I went home and I stopped eating it, and those headaches went away. So I don't care what AI says about the formaldehyde in it. Artificial sweeteners are poison trash. I'm fine with being prejudiced against all of them outright. I don't trust any of them. Okay, some people might say, well, Ajinomoto makes aspartame and they make MSG. I don't care. Good companies can make one terrible thing and they can make a whole nother amazing thing. Don't shoot the company that makes good stuff just because they also make bad stuff. That's like where people disassociate with all their friends because their friends believe in a little different variation of a religion than they do. That's wild. That's really wild. So aspartame is trash. It's poisonous trash. I don't care that it's just a couple of amino acids. You can probably find a bunch of things that are just amino acid built that are absolutely toxic. What cadaverine and putrescine, I bet those are pretty nasty too. And those are probably just made of amino acids. So this is one of those things where, I mean, we probably have other people in the live chat who could comment that aspartame or Equal or NutraSweet made them feel bad. So if somebody felt bad from the amount of formaldehyde, so most fruits don't have a lot of formaldehyde, like bananas. If you let them get, if those of you who don't know, if you let bananas get too ripe, too brown, and you eat them and you don't feel good, or like, let's say you have pears that are too ripe and you eat those and you don't feel good in your stomach, that's formaldehyde. They start to make more formaldehyde. And that's why, like, a lot of us, we look at like a brown banana, or you look at an overly ripe pear, and it, like, for me, it would literally turn my stomach just to kind of look at them. I'm like, I don't want to touch that, because I know how I felt when I've had it before. I'm trained. So I know that makes me feel bad. And I know that I've had symptoms from the formaldehyde, but I'm not going to not eat bananas, because when I eat them yellow, I'm fine. Pears seem to, I can deal with bananas because I eat a lot of them, but pears, if I keep them around, they go from like not ripe to too ripe way too fast. And I'm just tired of them. And I don't like pears that much. They're all right. But yeah, aspartame is a no-go in my book, regardless of what it's made of, regardless of what AI says. I have a whole section in the Love Your Liver program about the guy who's very anti-methanol and formaldehyde stuff. And we avoid the stuff that he says. So that's just another angle of things that we might avoid that aren't vitamin A related. We're so far beyond just vitamin A. Okay. So the Heterodox also posted, Kyle Hill made a video on linear no threshold versus other models on radiation in respect to health. It seems as if one can be deficient in radiation. Go see it later. I might, I don't know. That's not really, like, I don't think anybody's deficient in CT scans or x-rays. And if there's radiation in the foods that we supposedly need, I'm sure we're getting it. That seems like a very minor thing, like the whole deuterium thing, where everybody's getting into the low deuterium diets and all that stuff. I don't see it doing anything. Like I tried it. Kelsey tried it. Some of you also may have tried the low deuterium water, and you do it for as long as they say, and you spin out your nose for this silly water, or you try to make it yourself by like freezing water and doing these other things. And it did absolutely zero for all of the people I know who did it. Nobody's still doing it, yet there's people out there pushing it. So I like these things that are really like what I would call majoring in the minors. They're not important. It's kind of like, okay, it's kind of like there have been people in my group who have tried to do zero vitamin A. And I'm like, you don't need to do, that's like majoring in the minors. Like once you get it low enough, all we have to do is lower it below the amount that we can get rid of. And then we are getting rid of more than we're taking in. That's all we need to do. Would more be better, and would more maybe go faster? Sure. Could going too far cause us to get nutrient deficiencies like we're talking about today? Absolutely. So that's why it's like when people are talking about, oh, well, I get 400 units of vitamin A a day and you get 600. And I'm like, this is not even worth debating. Like y'all are wasting your time. Like if you're down at 400 or 600, you're doing great. And you don't got to worry about whether it's 50 IUs more or less or whatever. Like that's just, and then we get to see today what a really low vitamin A diet, as they said in the research, can do. It causes other problems by all the foods you have to avoid. I mean, the whole reason I came up with the Love Your Liver program was because I wanted people to do a low vitamin A diet, but I didn't want them to eat the prison diet all day or have to do the cow. So the prison diet, right? Red meat, beans, and rice, or they don't have to do the Highlander diet, the red meat and oats, or they don't have to do the cowboy diet, which is red meat and beans. Like I came up with this program because I won't do that. I absolutely would refuse to do that. Like nobody's going to tell me that I can only eat 2 foods a day for the rest of my life. I'm not going to do it. And I thought, well, if we're just really trying to reduce vitamin A, then we can find foods that are low enough in vitamin A to get rid of it. And then we can do things to speed up our body's ability to get rid of it. So that's this radiation thing. Like I'm just, we're fixing this. This is where we get into, somebody's going to have to show me how adding that to what we're doing would fix problems that we're not fixing, or fix them way faster than what we're already doing. They would have to demonstrate. I mean, people go and talk smack on Twitter all day about what I'm doing, and yet they don't have clients, and they're not posting testimonials like I am, and they're not helping to fix people to fix conditions like I am. And so I disregard them entirely. They can go and be nasty all over the internet all they want. The proof is in the pudding, as they say. So if we need a little bit of radiation, I mean, I know here in Tucson, we have uranium literally in the water, in our tap water. I just saw a gentleman I know. He's been a client of mine since, like, I think he said 2009 yesterday. He actually reminded me. I thought it was 2010, but he's like, no, it was 2009. So this gentleman has been a client of mine. He was a patient before, but now technically he's a client since 2009. And he's doing great. He's like back. He's actually, so we went from, he was like a shut-in in his house. He could eat like 3 foods. His acid reflux was so bad, he could eat only like 3 foods, and even water would give him reflux. So he wouldn't leave the house. So over the years, once we finally got to the vitamin A toxicity thing, because this is the gentleman I've talked about, he took retin-A as a teenager. He used retin-A as a teenager. He also was raised on an orange farm, like literally an orange tree farm. And so he'd go out some days and just eat oranges all day. That was all he ate for days. And I think I might have given him vitamin A back when I did it. And now, well, he eventually, as we got the vitamin A problem, he didn't believe me at first because he'd seen me do different approaches. And he finally came around to it, and he's like, okay, I want to try this. And he told me about his history. And I was like, oh, wow. Yeah, I think we can help you now. I think we found the thing that could help you. And then he started social dancing again. And I just learned yesterday that now he is a dance instructor. So he went from being a shut-in to going social dancing to now being a social dancing instructor. I mean, it's amazing. And this is the same gentleman who at one point I told him, I said, I don't have any other tools for you. Like, we have exhausted this was before vitamin A. I said, we have exhausted my toolbox. We have completely exhausted my toolbox. I have nothing left to offer you. So I said, if you want to go see somebody else, why is my camera doing that? If you want to go see somebody else, go ahead, because I won't be upset. I don't know what else to do. And he told me, you're the only one who believes me, who doesn't tell me that I'm basically, it's all in my head, or just disregard it, or just give me a medication and say, go home and take it. And he's like, you keep trying to find the answer, so I'm going to stick with you because you believe me and because I think you'll find the answer someday. And what did we find? We found the answer. So that's where it's just like, I'd have to see I'd have to see if I looked into that radiation hypothesis. First of all, I'd have to see that what we were doing, if there is such a thing as a radiation deficiency, I'd have to see that that was actually happening likely in our people. It's like the whole thing with night blindness and dry eye and these other eye issues that people say are vitamin A deficiency aren't happening in our people because we get plenty of protein, we get plenty of zinc, we get plenty of taurine. So the whole thing of like vitamin A deficiency is not an issue in our people. And I wouldn't say Matt Stone wasn't technically one of our people because he was doing his own thing, eating what he chose, not really following our, I mean, I got to say, Skittles are not on the LYL program. Neither is Kool-Aid. And like I said, he's an adult. He can eat whatever he wants. But he's definitely not doing the Love Your Liver program. So there was a lot of people who jumped on the comments on that video of his because they want vitamin A deficiency. They want vitamin A deficiency to be real. They need vitamin A to be real. There was even somebody who said his eye problems were probably caused by a calcium deficiency. And I just chuckled at that. Like, seriously, the calcium crazy people will try to say everything is calcium. It's really nuttery. It is such nuttery. And here I go and I show, I don't know how many papers did I show? 40? Along with his diet, showing here's the problem. Here's the literal problem. And I believe if and when Matt gets that zinc and he takes it, based on the research we saw, these issues should completely resolve themselves within 1 to 2 weeks. Maybe a month at most. And if he continues to get enough zinc, the problems should never come back. His allergies will likely be better. His asthma will likely be better. He won't get this night blindness again. So he can go hiking. He loves to go hiking out in the bright sun. He doesn't get burned anymore because that's what happens with our low vitamin A people. They don't get burned anymore. And as you'll see in his video, he's very light skinned, but he's not getting burned. But then he'll be able to go out in the sun and not have the eye issues from the zinc deficiency, possibly taurine too. But I think with the red meat he's probably getting enough taurine, especially if he's eating steaks and he's not like cooking them well done. So if you cook your steaks well done, folks, if you're still eating steaks, like most of our people eat ground beef, but if you're eating steaks, don't cook them well done. You're just destroying all the taurine that's in it. So that's basically it, I think. I don't have time to look through the rest of these comments. Sorry about that. Let me mark Heterodoxes as liking them. Thank you for the super chats, Heterodox. Sorry, I don't have a better explanation for the LNT and I can't go and watch that video during the show. So we'll just leave it at that. He's saying the video connects to a conspiracy by legislators too. Oh, maybe I'll watch it on high speed and I'll see if there's anything that I think is useful to my people. That's really what I'm after. I'm after, is this useful to our people? Yeah. So that's what we got. So anyway, I hope you all enjoyed that. I'm super excited for Matt Stone's experiment. I don't know when he'll get his zinc, but I'll send him a message today and we'll keep chatting about it. And I'm really excited because I think he could demonstrate as somebody in our social media circles exactly what I'm saying, and I can be proven right again, which is fun. If you didn't, I'm going to go over Celtic sea salt and all the nastiness that they're finding in unprocessed Celtic sea salt now. And we'll have testimonials next week too. We have some pretty cool testimonials. So especially for you postmenopausal ladies, we'll have a very important one then. So anyway, that's all I got for today. So Joe, let's hit on those links. When you're ready. Okay, here we go. So past live streams. If you liked what you're watching today and you want to see past live streams, there is a real danger of getting an addiction to these shows. So just be aware. If you start watching them all day, every day, it happens. And so you can find them at on the live link on the live tab on the main YouTube page. You can go to the link that Joe put there to find them. You can also go to you can also look under videos. Videos also has, if you see any episodes in the live streams that are not there in the order, like we have done every single one from number 1 to 228 now. But if they're missing, they're on Rumble. And if you find one that you can't find in the live videos or the videos tab, that one's on Rumble too, because that's one that YouTube would not let us put up an edited version again, even. So there's nutritiondetective.com. Oh yeah, Joe put up the Rumble channel. There's nutritiondetective.com. This is our main website. This is where you can find our supplement store, our VIP store with extra discounts on supplements for our Love Your Liver members. You can find our testing and consultation link. You can find the membership link, which goes to the Love Your Liver program. It's basically where you can find all of our stuff. The Love Your Liver program, if you want to go directly to it, this is the DIY program. This is when I talk about LYL or Love Your Liver, this is the program. This is a do-it-yourself program with a whole community in there. Members.nutritiondetective.com. That's where you can go directly to that, or you can find it on the membership tab on the main website. Okay, we got scheduling a consultation or our testing and consultation packages with our health facilitators. This is where if you want to work with us, doing hair testing, blood testing, which is what we do. We look at both angles and then an hour consult and then get access to 6 months of our office hours, our small group follow-up sessions once a week with each practitioner does one, and you can go to any and all of them. That's there. That's where you can find that. Next one, we got my Substack. My Substack is where I'm posting stuff. I'm going to be posting more detailed scientific stuff there soon. That's where you can find my 6-part article responding to Grant Generou's recent blog post that I did not appreciate very much. And that's where you can find that. We have the basics of toxic bile paradigm. I just did a podcast last Friday. It's not come out yet, but where I got to talk a lot about it too. Episodes 53 and 71 are my basics of toxic bile paradigm. It used to be called toxic bile theory. We've changed it. We've upgraded it to paradigm, where you can start to understand the things we talk about on these shows when we talk about bile. We talk about the toxicity of bile, and we talk about why people feel bad and why people feel better and what they can do to manage this stuff and all that. So that's what those are all about. I'm hoping to redo it with Beth Martins very soon. So we'll update it. This is Love Your Liver live stream episode 228, where we covered eye issues. We talked about Matt Stone's video. We covered the connections between nutrition and night blindness and dry eye and zinc and taurine and general malnutrition or undernutrition. We could call it that. And I'm Dr. Garrett Smith, also known as the Nutrition Detective, and hope you all enjoyed that. It took me a little while to present it. Just so you know, I went over the basics of all of that stuff last week on the Inner Circle because I just accumulated it all. And I was like, I had to get this out. And so I did it last week on the Inner Circle. I went through most of it in a little different way. That's the Inner Circle is a private Q&A that's inside the Love Your Liver network. There's an extra charge for it, yes, but it's another private Q&A live stream that I do right after this one. And people can post their questions, kind of like Super Chats, and I go over their questions there in a way that I can be a little more straightforward and use naughty words and other things like that in there, and use words that the Gestapo doesn't like. So that's the benefit of the Inner Circle. And then you can always get access to the Inner Circle via the Advanced Detox program, which is where the after the episodes have been out a month, we put them in there. So you can get a lot lower price on that, but you don't get asked questions. So that's all in the Love Your Liver network. So you got to be in there to get access to those. Quick super chat, just because it's here, because I don't have a lot to say on it. What's your views on things like PEMF devices / therapy, light systems therapy? I don't know what light systems therapy is. If we're talking about infrared light therapy, I think it's good. If we're talking about red light therapy, I think it's good. If we're talking about UV light therapy in general as a replacement for sunlight, if you don't have the sun around, I think it's generally good. If we're talking about PEMF, I don't know. I don't know. Some electromagnetic fields are bad, and so if we pulse it and we put an EMF into people, then somehow it's good. I don't know. Like electrical muscle stimulation might help symptoms short term. Doing it too long may actually fry the nervous system and cause things like Lou Gehrig's disease. I've talked about this before. Remember duration paradox. Something may help short term and cause more problems long term. And literally pulsing an electromagnetic field into the body could help things short term. I don't know about the long term. I don't trust it. I'm not going to run to be doing it anytime soon. But light therapies in general, I own an infrared. I own the strongest infrared laser in Tucson, in the other room, like 25 watts. It's workhorse. And I just got I have a red light hair, head helmet, and I just got another red light. It's one that's got infrared and red light on it that I've been using too. So I love light therapy. Photoreceptors. That was a whole topic we went over today, right? Photoreceptors, light receptors. So yeah, proper light is very important. That's one of the things, like when I moved to Idaho, getting enough UV light in the drearier winter months is going to be something that I prioritize when I get up there. Kelsey already has a Sperti, so I just have to figure out where to set it up so that I can get it. And then, bring all our infrared light and red light toys. So, no, Heterodox, Styropyro didn't send it to me. I bought it back when I was in practice. I used to have a laser therapy focused practice that I bought. So no, I forget the brand. Light Cure, LITECURE, Light Cure. That's the brand. Yeah. So anyway, I got to wrap it up. I will see you all next time. Hope you enjoyed the show. Have a great week. I do not know what the topic may be next week. Maybe I'll have a guest. I don't know. I have somebody in mind, so I'll ask them. Okay. Hope you all have a great week. I will see you later. Take your zinc. Eat your red meat. Okay. Bye now.